Hi, this is Dale Buchanan, the host of Puppy Talk Podcast. Before we get started today, I wanted to let you know of my new book, The Complete Puppy Training Manual. It's available on Amazon in 4 formats: Kindle ebook, paperback, hardcover, and audiobook. You can find it on Amazon right now. It's called The Complete Puppy Training Manual, and I will put a link in the show notes of this episode. I'm Dale Buchanan, and this is Puppy Talk, the podcast that offers advice on how to raise a healthy, happy, and obedient puppy. This podcast is sponsored by Top Gun Dog Training. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast now so you don't miss a single episode of Puppy Talk. Welcome to Puppy Talk episode number 28. In this episode, I'm going to give you 5 tips for puppies that are picky eaters. For Dixie, she's now 14 months old. She had a very rough start to her life. She had Giardia many times when she was between 5 and 9 months old, and I went through hundreds and hundreds of dollars of different food to try to get the right thing for her that she liked. I went through about 15 different types of kibble, raw food, and now I feed her an air-dried food called Ziwi Peak, and also freeze-dried foods that are beef liver, rabbit, lamb, and things like that. I'll get more into the specifics in just a minute. But first, we're going to start with the tips in chronological order that I think are going to help you if you have a puppy that is a picky eater. Tip number 1, you want to feed the puppy only at scheduled times. This is very important because if you free feed the puppy, which means you're leaving food out there all day for the puppy or leaving it in the crate wherever the puppy may be, they're not going to get on a schedule. Remember that dogs thrive when they have a structured schedule. So with Dixie, for example, I get up, I take her for a walk, we come inside, I feed her, she takes a nap, she gets up, she does a little training, and she has some playtime, and then she goes in her crate. This is a structure that I've developed for her that works very well. I have found that if she's not hungry in the morning and she doesn't eat, I go through some of the next 4 steps to get her more interested in eating at the morning meal and interested in getting it over with. Tip number 2, you have to find a food that the puppy really loves. And like I said with Dixie, this took a very long time. You want to go through a variety of dry, wet, air-dried, freeze-dried, raw, whatever your puppy is going to eat that's good for them is what you want to stick with. Keep in mind, I'm not giving you tips on puppy nutrition or dog nutrition or anything like that. But for puppies, you do want to have a higher protein content because they are growing. And the difference between puppy food and adult food is basically one of the things is protein content. Puppy food is going to have between 26 and 32% protein typically. Adult dog food is going to have 18 to 24% protein. And these are generalizations. You want to find a food that the puppy loves that's good for them. Now, you could feed them human food, table food, and they're going to love that, but is it necessarily good for them? Does it have the building blocks and the nutrients that's needed for the puppy's growth? Probably not. So you want to make sure that you find something that the puppy really likes. How do you know? Well, when you set the food down on the floor or in your hand or in a bowl, they should go for that food pretty quickly. If they look at the food and they put their nose in it and sniff and they walk away, that's probably not good food for them. For their palate, they probably aren't interested in eating that food. Tip number 3, try freeze-dried and air-dried foods for puppies. And there are several reasons for this. Number 1, they're very high in protein, like I already mentioned. So you want to get something that's high in protein for puppies. Number 2, they're not filled with a lot of junk. So, for example, when Dixie was sick with Giardia, which is a parasite that affects the intestines of puppies and dogs and also humans, she had this thing for freeze-dried beef liver. And that's really all she would eat. So I would get Pure Bites, freeze-dried beef liver, and I would feed that to her in larger quantities so she got some nutrition. And then I had to supplement that with some other things. And again, what I feed Dixie is freeze-dried and air-dried foods. There are a lot of air-dried foods that you can get that are raw and have lower in grains and so forth. I'm not saying that you should feed your dog no grains. I don't feed Dixie any grains, and she's thrived on that. But I would have to get a pet nutritionist or a veterinarian in here to discuss a whole episode on puppy nutrition. I'm not exactly qualified to do that. I'm just giving you some tips for picky eaters here and what I've gone through with my own dog who's a picky eater. Tip number 4, feed your puppy from the hand. I went to train 2 clients just last week, which is my motivation for doing this episode. One is a Doberman Pinscher who is about 16 weeks old. She was feeding Zara at the end of our session in her bowl some kibble, but Zara wouldn't eat the food. And I said, well, watch this. I called Zara over to the food bowl. I grabbed some of the kibble in my hand, and Zara ate it right away. It wasn't even any hesitation. So I scooped up more in my hand. This was about 1.5 cups of food, by the way. I scooped up more in my hand, and Zara ate it very fast. I walked away from the bowl, and she did not want to eat it from the bowl. And then I scooped more in my hand, and within a few more seconds, all of the food was gone. And what I've realized when raising Dixie, and with this example, is that puppies don't like eating from bowls very often. It's weird to them. The shape of the bowl, the object, is very odd for a lot of puppies. Now, Dixie will eat from a bowl. She's over a year old. But when she was a puppy, she did not like the bowl. I would bring a bowl to her, and she would run from it. So I don't know what that was about. It doesn't matter. I just set her freeze-dried, air-dried food on the ground on a rug, and she ate it there, or she ate it from my hand. But keep in mind that a lot of puppies don't like eating from a bowl. You want to feed your puppy from your hand, or feed your puppy straight on the floor, or on their bed, or on a rug, something that you're used to and something that they like. Tip number 5, don't waste your food in a bowl like I just mentioned. Don't waste your food only feeding in the hand. Feed your puppy in some food toys, like a Kong. Stuff that Kong with your food and then run some water through there. Top it off with some baby food and some peanut butter. Baby food such as pumpkin and sweet potato or blueberry and banana with some peanut butter. And they've got all the kibble down inside and maybe a few real high value treats that the puppy likes. And give that Kong to the puppy to mentally stimulate the puppy and really enjoy eating their meal. This could take 30 to 45 minutes, but it keeps the puppy busy, it will tire the puppy out, and it will give you a chance to do something that you need to do while the puppy is eating their meal. Also, I am a big fan of Licky Mats. And if you watched any of my YouTube videos or listened to any of my past episodes, specifically relaxation techniques with Laura Donaldson, then Licky Mats are a big hit with a lot of puppies. You spread some food, baby food, peanut butter, cream cheese, and then you top it with some kibble, and you make it really, really awesome for the puppy. And when their tongue starts getting the food off of the Licky Mat, they're stimulating these neurotransmitters on the tongue through the grooves of the Licky Mat, and the puppy is getting relaxed as they're eating their meal. And you can place the mat in their crate, on their bed, on their place, somewhere that's relaxing to them, somewhere that they're going to really enjoy eating that food. So those are the 5 tips that I have for people that have puppies that are picky eaters. I hope these tips help. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us through our website, puppytalkpodcast.com. Thank you and have a great day. This is Dale Buchanan, host of Puppy Talk Podcast. I have an announcement of a new book that I just published called Potty Training Your Puppy. It's available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback, soon to be available on audiobook. You can find out all the details of this book using the link in the show notes. It's called Potty Training Your Puppy. It's a comprehensive book with a simple and effective way to help potty train your puppy, and it really works. Check out the link in the show notes.